Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
Greetings and salutations. I am Katie Petrick, joined by Dr. Jacobs. Hey,
Hi,
Jake.
Katie.
Hello. All right, just a reminder, in case you didn't know, we are on Rumble. All you have to do to find us is go to rumble.com/Freedom Project and follow what we like to call our freedom-loving page, America.
America. We love America.
That's how it sums it up. All right, well, Donald Trump's former Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, says that the department must be shut down and all power should be given to the states. What? Hello, Betsy. Where were you, back when you were in the role?
I know.
Okay, well, you carry on, Jake, and we will see this through. Of what Betsy says.
You know what? I got to tell you, go a long time ago, University of Brighton, 1980, Pink Floyd came out with Another Brick in the Wall. We don't need no education. It should have been, we don't need no Department of Education.
It's too long.
So, former Education Secretary Betsy DeVos echoed President elect Trump's support for disbanding and depowering the Department of Education, saying the window of opportunity is wide open as he begins to roll out his administration's agenda ahead of taking office. Let's take a listen to this show.
Trump is also gearing up for an assault on wokeness in classrooms and wants to expand school choice at a time when the U.S. lags behind other developed countries in reading, science, and math. Look at these numbers. We are 28 in math, 12 in science, 6 in reading from other developed countries. That is a long way from number one. Let's bring in former Education Secretary Betsy DeVos. Betsy, good to see you again. Good to have you with us. So first of all, how likely do you think it is that this could happen, that the Department of Education could be disbanded, and what is the path to doing that?
Well, President Trump will need to partner with Congress to actually get that done. But there are many steps that can be taken to re-empower states and local communities, and importantly, families, take the power away from the Department of Education, block grant those funds, continue to invest in education, but get it down to a much more local level where better decisions are made on behalf of students. The bureaucrats at the Department of Education aren't doing the job. They haven't done the job for more than 4 decades to close achievement gaps. They've only widened. The department doesn't really add any value anywhere. Only 9% of spending for K-12 education nationally comes from the federal government, yet over 90% of the regulation comes. So all of those funds go out with strings attached, requiring states and communities to do things the way this federal agency in Washington dictates it be done.
Yeah, that's right, Betsy.
Come on.
Thanks.
You're feeling a little animus towards her.
She's wait, what is it? Day late and a dollar short?
Yeah,
you
okay,
could have done
fair
and
enough.
said all these words, Betsy, back when, you were the secretary.
Back when she was making a lot of money as the Secretary of the Department of Education.
First we line our pockets, and then we go to our safe space, and then we can speak out. Betsy DeVos.
All right, but now at least she's coming out and saying we need to allocate more funds for school choice.
Now
we
we
need
say
to
it.
allocate more funds for actually going in accordance to Title IX, right,
Agreed.
from 1972. The lefties perverted that.
Yes.
And she says something that's interesting. She says that 9%, that the Department of Education gives 9% of its funding for K through 12 education nationwide, but it imposes 90% of the regulations. And a quick example, I spoke at a rally in Winneconne, Wisconsin a little while back. I used to teach at Winneconne High School. Well, the school board voted a few months ago to allow the he-she's, those boys pretending to be
he-she's.
girls,
Okay.
that they can be in girls' sports and use girls' bathrooms. And a lot of parents were quite upset. About 200 people showed, and we were speaking at this rally. The problem that some of the parents had is they were worried that they weren't going to get their federal money. So they were willing to allow this non-reality insanity of wokeism, transgenderism, to thrive at Winneconne because they wanted the money.
Well,
and to me, that's absolutely nuts.
This just goes like hand in hand with the fact that we don't understand anything about our government. We don't know who's in charge, what they're actually in charge of, and we forget that we, the people, are the ones who are in charge. And so the Department of Ed and all of the bureaucrats and the unions especially have done their job to convince the American people, mom and dad, that you have no power, leave it to us, the ones who know better. And so if we would get that statistic out there, even if it's not exactly what Betsy DeVos said, where it's the 9% of funding to 90%, it's about there. And if parents realize that and schools actually truly understood that and then states truly understood it, they'd all be like, wait a minute, why do we care what they are saying?
Okay, a couple things.
It's only 9%.
You said we the people, which I absolutely love, which really in essence means we the people. Now, this is in accordance to our republic, our constitutional republic. We the people pick our representatives who theoretically, according to, to Article 1, they actually make the laws. All of a sudden, these non-elected bureaucrats,
Correct.
over 4,000 bureaucrats at the Department of Education, they dictate and mandate 90% of this across the whole United States of America. And President Trump and his new team, his new cabinet, they say enough already. But we have to get within the roots of the systemic institutionalized nature of this. We can't Band-Aid this, speaking of Band-Aid, like on my face. We can't Band-Aid to take out this cancer. Yep. We actually have to get at the very root in totality and change the system, change the institution, bring it back to the legislature, bring it back to the state legislatures, bring it back to the states, and ultimately, like you said, we the people, the parents, the community.
And Betsy DeVos in that interview did say that she was questioned, should this be one of Trump's top priorities in the first 100 days? And she's saying all these other things, which you heard, to get through. But if we can chip away at all those things, then the whole tower will come crumbling down. The Tower of Babel will fall.
So I got a question for you. You earlier, I think a few weeks back, you were very cynical or skeptical.
Not cynical, realistic.
Okay. No, fair enough. Skeptical.
I'm an optimistic realist.
You don't see there being a major effect in the Department of Education, because when we brought this up, you were like, it ain't going to happen.
What I would like. Things to fall. I don't think the entire tower is going to fall. I think the Department of Ed will still remain. It may hopefully be hollowed out, but it will still remain. It takes too much for them to get an entire department to completely collapse.
Yeah, they're going to come out fighting.
And hopefully they hollow out enough of it so that it ultimately will fall, but I don't know that Trump's going to put all of his political...
If we could cut the bureaucrats in half, if we could cut the 90% down to, let's say, 40%.
Oh, that's a win. In my book, that's a win.
Okay.
That's victory.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't see a complete, we are canceling the Department of Education.
I don't even know
think that's
if the
happen.
president is capable of doing that.
You
without
need Congress on that one.
That's what I would think.
That's completely why I don't think it's
too
going to
many
happen.
rhinos in Congress.
There's too many who have, knowing that Trump is a one-term president, they have their own agendas. Are they the agendas of the people they represent? Well, we will see. I am skeptical on that one, though. I'll tell you that much. All right. Well, hey, since we're talking about, school choice and it not being a federal government complete takeover, what about that school choice that we've all been clamoring for? So if the DOE is abolished, which is revel in that. Even the fact that we can say
just sounds good.
It just sounds good. If the DOE is abolished and decisions are made at the state level, then it will be interesting to see what happens regarding school choice. Okay. In recent election, it actually wasn't that great of news across the nation. There were 3 ballot initiatives supporting school choice programs, and they failed to pass, while there was one state that successfully slashed a testing requirement for high school graduation. And I don't know how much we feel about that, but let's talk about them. So Colorado's Amendment 80 failed to enshrine a right to school choice into the state's constitution. So Colorado. While Amendment 2 in Kentucky, and Referendum 435 in Nebraska failed to provide funding to students attending non-public schools.
Kitty, real quick, I just got to say, Colorado, I'm not surprised, but Kentucky and Nebraska, these are very conservative states.
You'd have to look at the exact wording. I do wonder what happened there.
Okay.
If there was any attachments on that thing, I could see how it could easily fail. But yes, we'd have to take a look. But Kentucky, Nebraska, people, chime in. Let us know what's going on there. Massachusetts, meanwhile, succeeded in shooting down the state's requirement for standardized testing in order for high schoolers to receive a diploma. Now, the approval of Massachusetts' ballot measure replaces requirements for standardized state testing and instead allows students to graduate, quote, by satisfactorily completing coursework that has been certified by the student's district as showing mastery of the skills, competencies, and knowledge contained in the state academic standards and curriculum frameworks. That's according to that law's text. So we've talked a lot over the years about standardized tests and what's the value of them? Do students get anything out of it? Do educators get anything out of it? Now Massachusetts has shot down the need for that and instead saying, hey, what I just said about showing competency and all this. But my concern is that do these kids know anything we've been so indoctrinated when it comes to a lot of stuff that like what's their definition of meeting competency and mastery of skill at that school district level? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't believe the Bee Gees named a song Massachusetts myself, but I digress.
It was an early hit.
No, you're absolutely spot on because how they change the definition, what their criteria is, we don't have a clue. But as you know, Massachusetts, as you know, has been incredibly leftist when it comes to their education. So I'm suspect like you are.
But at the same time, I'd rather have it be left up to the state than the federal government telling us. So that I live in Wisconsin. My kids go to school in Wisconsin. If they would go to like any state school, whatever, I could be like, well, at least my kid, I know what's going on in my kid's state school. Massachusetts, that's its own thing. But we have done the whole gamut where everybody across the nation has failed. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as we go on. If the Department of Ed falls, then, there'll be a lot of other referendums and state laws happening. So stay tuned and stay with us because we have a whole lot more to talk about.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on pristine quality bedding, towels, slippers, signature pillows, and much more when you use the code EDUCATED. That's EDUCATED, educated. Support this show and a great American company.
We're talking about school choice, and when it comes to the university, you have all the choices in the land. Which university shall you attend? Well, hey, if your choice of colleges includes the University of Pennsylvania, just know that one course you can take is queer science because we don't care about science. In the spring 2025 semester, which, hey, everyone, that's in like a month and a half, 2025. Woo! I'm coming to the realization that time is flying.
In the year 2525.
Wow. Bring that one back. Anyway, in the spring 2025 semester, there's going to be queer science offered by none other than the university's program in gender, sexuality, and women's studies and the Center for Research in Feminist, Queer, and Transgender Studies.
Sign me up.
As I always say, the longer the title, the less important it is.
This is unreal.
This is like people's titles for their jobs. And, if they say, like, I'm doctor something, it's the less important they are.
Oh,
He got it.
I finally got it.
He got it. All right. According to the description of queer science, this course gives students a background in the development of sex science from evolutionary arguments that racialized sexual dimorphism to the contemporary technologies that claim to be able to get at bodily truths that are supposedly more real than identity. Huh? What does it say?
What did you just say?
I don't know.
This gobbledygook, nonsensical idiocy.
Apparently, on the stability of one's sex, the class introduces several scholarly and political interventions that have attempted to short-circuit the idea that sex is stable and knowable by science, highlighting ways that queer and queering thinkers have challenged the stability of sexual categories. It concludes by asking how to put those interventions into practice when so much of the fight for queer rights, autonomy, and survival has been rooted in categorical recognition by the state and by considering whether science can be made
No.
Queer.
I wonder who's teaching this course. This has got to be something.
Well, there is that.
His name is Beans?
Yes. Well, there's
or her. I don't know.
it
or them, they, or something like that. I mean, right?
They.
Okay.
They. Beans Valachi is a historian of knowledge production in the realms of sex, gender, and sexuality. The article says the lecturers, but as you can see, the lecturer uses they. Their
Be
first
careful,
book
Katie.
project.
Beans might get
It
upset.
says right there, their first book project, tentatively titled Binary Logic, is a prehistory of cisness. Oh, that's a new one. I've heard, cisgender and all that, but now cisness? Cisness. That looks at how sex emerged as a privileged way of sorting bodies, not despite, but because of its incoherence. Beans holds a PhD and several master's degrees from, Yale, and Master of Arts from the University of Utah, and an AB from Smith College. So, Beans.
Mr. Bean.
Whoa. Their Bean. Not Mr. Their Bean. Mr. Bean is already taken by, a Mr. But hey, maybe you're not into queer science, but not to be outdone, we do have Boston University offering Queering Health. So, we have that too in the spring as part of its Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies program. I do wonder, just a side tangent for a moment, if Trump would come in and just cut every women's studies department, because it's not women's studies anymore. It's women's gender, sexuality, transgender, blah, 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 blah. Insert other words that make no sense.
So he should do it.
Just
cut the money.
Take all those programs out of every university, how much better the world would be.
Why do you think they're so depressed right now? Because they're fearful that's what he's going to do.
This is true. Anyway, back to Boston University. So the course's premise is that LGBTQ identifying people face particular health challenges compared with others. One focus of the class will be government policies regarding gender-affirming care, which several conservative-leaning states have attempted to restrict in recent years. According to the description, students will also learn about LGBTQ+ affirming therapies, healthcare, public policy, and legislation. Oh, okay. This course will take a constructively critical lens. Oh, if there's any sort of a lens involved, just know it's bad. Critical lens to medicalized pathologizing constructions of sexual and gender diversity and examine topics within historical and modern social context. So the course is going to explore strategies for advocacy, improving the healthcare experience of LGBTQ+ people, and addressing barriers to accessing healthcare from local, national, and global perspectives. Global perspectives? You want to talk about global perspectives when it comes to LGBTQ+ stuff? Oh. You want to go to the Middle East?
Yeah, they'd last 3 seconds.
See what happens to you if you claim any one of those letters. Just saying. Let's talk about that global health.
Well, they hang them from the lamps in Tehran. Yep. It's nuts. This is the world of absolute nuttism.
Anyways, hey, if you're looking for a little job this upcoming spring, they don't yet have a lecturer for this course. There's no faculty that was listed.
I'd last about 3 seconds in the as the professor. Trust me.
Would you? Well, Shannon Peters was the previous lecturer, and her research interests are impacts of systemic oppression, discrimination, and trauma on mental health of marginalized individuals, and also transgender healthcare and mental health. So if you have any sort of bona fides like that, then you too could be the lecturer for this course. Yes? No?
No.
Maybe so. All right. Well, hey, did you know that game shows can be a lot of fun to watch? They are. But there was a recent contestant who was feeling a little embarrassed after his incorrect guess on a national show went viral. And we're going to show you basically what happened and how funny it was after the break.
In 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. Introducing Patriot Mobile, the wireless carrier that stands with you. We are committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream.
Get free activation now with promo code EDUCATED.
Well, let's give a round of applause to Will, the Wheel of Fortune sausage man. Let's take a listen.
I'd like to buy you.
Well, you're going to get 3 U's.
I'd like to solve the puzzle.
Okay, well, let's hear it.
Treat yourself a round of sausage. No.
I'm sorry, that's not it. Over to Katina.
I'd like to solve.
Okay.
Give yourself a round of applause.
Yeah, that's it. Although, Will, I kind of like yours better. That sounds better than just clapping right now.
Oh, my God. It went viral. I mean,
Of course it did.
Holy cow. Will, he was so embarrassed. I mean,
How could you not be? You're on national television.
sausage.
Proving that you're not smarter than a 5th grader.
I got to tell you what, though. I am, if you saw my wife and I, when we play this game,
Of course you
I am horrible at it. And
I believe
there's
that.
something intuitive. She puts it right away. I would have probably said something like he said. It's just, I'm stuck at this. I'm really, even license plates. You know how license plates
Yeah, you can't do them?
she does it like this. I can't do license plates.
You're lucky you have a
So,
pretty face. She
I
keeps
just
you
feel
around. I
bad
guess.
for Will. Hopefully he's got a good sense of humor because
Well, hopefully, like one of the national brands, like uses him as a spokesman.
oh my God,
This is ad potential, people.
just like the kid that did Subway. Unfortunately, he lost his job, but I mean, he did make a killing there for a while.
Jared?
Yeah, Jared.
Oh, let's not talk about him. He's a criminal.
I know, but he
Get him
wasn't
outta here.
before.
This
that I
guy,
know.
this guy is innocent. A round of applause. A round of applause. All right. Well, apparently you're not good at that. But what game are you good at? Are you good at any
if
games?
I Jeopardy. I absolutely love
Really?
Jeopardy. I love the categories. I have to admit, some categories I wouldn't fare so well, but you give me history, government, literature.
Literature. What is literature?
Literature.
Literature.
But I
now, would you be on it
absolutely-
now or only like back in the day with Alex? Do you have
No-
loyalties? You should have loyalties
no,
to
I don't
Alex
have-
Trebek.
I don't know. I just know even back in high school, that was a game that I used to sit and watch, and my dad and I would have a little contest playing the game. And with my colleagues where I used to teach in Winneconne High School with the social studies department. Love the game. One of the best.
Figured you'd go for
What
something like
do
that.
you think about Jeopardy? I would
It's a
think
good-
you'd be good at it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a pressure in that one.
I just
You got to
wouldn't-
go with the ones that really save you the money. You
I
know?
wouldn't have a Bee Gees category. Oh, Price.
The Price is right. Can you name the price?
Oh, God.
$1.
There's no talent
Bob.
in that game. It's just.
Lots of talent in that game. You don't just pull out a question out of the air. You actually have to do a skill like Plinko. Best game
Okay.
on the universe.
I'm kind of surprised. You seem like a Jeopardy lady to me.
Well, I don't want to embarrass you if we played against each other.
Okay.
So there's that. But Price is Right is good. There's a lot of games. I mean, back in the day, Password.
Oh,
If I could have played Password with Betty White, that would have been a dream.
Oh, Dave Fiorazo. He used to act with Betty White.
I know.
Yeah.
So I do only have a couple degrees of separation, but a whole lot of distance now between me and Betty. Anyway, if you do enjoy our content, please consider subscribing to the audio podcast and weekly media e-blast. Hey, it contains all of the top stories of the week. Simply go to stayeducated.org. Now for Jeopardy Jake and myself, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting what we do. Until next time, stay educated, America.